Hey everyone, my name is Heather and today I'm going to teach you about one of my favorite things, hiking. We live in Silicon Valley, which is one of the most exciting, fast-paced places in the country, but it's also one of the most stressful. So hiking is a great way for us to get out of the city, to chill, relax, be part of nature. We have so many animals and wildlife on our trails. It's just a great place to get your exercise without being cooped up in a gym. So today I'm going to teach you how to prepare and train for a hike and what to bring with you so you're ready for a safe, fun hike out in the woods. First, we need to figure out where we want to go. California has every type of terrain imaginable, and a lot of it is just a short drive from San Jose. A lot of the open space preserves like Montebello or Russian Ridge have wide open grassland filled with wildflowers. Big Basin and Portola Redwood State Parks have beautiful forests of giant redwoods. Wilder Ranch has oceanside cliffs. And in the East Bay, Mission and Monument Peaks are great first mountain climbs. If you're new to hiking, I'd recommend starting close to home. Many of the parks near San Jose, like Almaden Quicksilver or Santa Teresa, have cell service. So if you're a little nervous about being in the woods, being in touch with civilization can help. You can visit the Santa Clara County Parks or the Open Space Authority websites to read about each park and look at the trail maps. Once you choose a park, you'll want to find a trail that's a good distance for your fitness level. To add up the distance on the map, look at the small numbers on the side of the trail. Those are the distances between intersections. If we add them all up, we can see that this trail that's highlighted is 5.4 miles long. A normal hiking speed can range anywhere from 1.5 to 3.5 miles per hour. So this length of hike could take a few hours to complete. Before we start hiking, we want to make sure that we are fit enough to finish the loop that we've set out. What we don't want is to end up way out here, miles from the car, too tired to make it back. If you're just starting out, you'll want to get a feel for how far you can walk before hitting the trails. Try walking around your neighborhood and aim for 1 to 2 miles. How do you feel afterwards? If you're tired, aim for a hike that's about the same distance that you walked. If you're feeling full of energy, you can try for a hike that's 3 to 4 miles long instead. Remember, most hikes will include hills and will be more difficult than a walk through the city, so always increase your distances gradually. Take it nice and slow as you build up your stamina. So let's talk about the gear that you would bring on a hike, and we're going to start with your backpack. So backpacks are measured in cubic inches or liters. This right here is a 20-liter pack, and this is a pretty standard size for a day pack. This will carry enough gear for a few hours to a half a day. If you wanted to go to a full day hike, you might want to upgrade to a 30 or 35-liter pack. And there's a big difference between a backpacking backpack and a day pack. So backpacking packs are meant to carry a lot of weight for a long period of time. They tend to have metal frames, and if you push on it, you can feel that there's no hard frame inside here. It's all soft. And the waist belt is just a strap where a backpacking bag will have a lot of padding. It's very thick. It's made to hold a lot of weight on your hips. So this is the kind of pack that you want just for a day hike. And 20 liters is going to be enough to carry your half-day supplies. The first thing you're going to put in your bag is water. This is super important. You want to plan for 2 cups of water for every hour that you're out hiking. So this liter bottle will carry you through for about 2 hours. You can plan a little more if it's really hot or dry. I always bring an entirely extra bottle of water. I have run out on the trail before. It's very scary. So whatever I'm supposed to bring, I bring that plus 1 extra bottle. It's always a good idea to be able to make your own water on the trail. So you want to have tools to sterilize water. There are things like the life straw that you stick directly into a pond or a stream, and as you drink through it, it sterilizes it. They have UV lights that you swirl around your water bottle. There are filters that go directly on top of the bottle, so you would fill it up at the river, and then as you drink, it's going to clean the water for you. There's also iodine tablets, which are what I bring on backpacking trips. With these, you can drop 2 tablets into a liter of water, and in about 20-30 minutes you have clean drinking water. So generally you're not going to need these on a day hike, but you should always have one of them handy just in case. Next, we're going to talk about food. For trail food, you want fat, salt, and sugar. And that's why trail mix is so popular for hiking, because it hits all those bases. You might hear people talk about needing protein on the trail. That's more for multi-day trips or backpacking. For just a day hike, you don't need to worry too much about protein. Fat, salt, and sugar are going to get you to the finish line. So dried fruit, peanut butter crackers, trail mix, those are all really great snacks to bring along. I like to bring chocolate too. It's a nice treat. I always keep an emergency 5-hour energy or those caffeine chews in my bag, just in case, say the last mile or two, you're feeling kind of sluggish, you don't know if you're gonna make it. Those things will get you there. It's just a quick burst of energy. There's a lot of sugar and caffeine in them, so they're not great for you, but for an emergency, they will get you back to the car. You want to bring your compass and a map, of whatever park you are in, so you know where you're going. A lot of people will rely on their phone, and it's a great idea to bring your phone. The GPS will keep working even if there's no internet, but you want to make sure you have a paper copy as well, in case your phone dies, in case the map decides not to load. You just want to make sure you have that handy and you know how to read it. We have a video on map reading if you haven't seen it already. You want to bring sunscreen. I use 50 SPF or higher. It is always sunny here. Just make sure you're protected so you don't get a bad sunburn. You want to bring a pocket knife or a multi-tool like a Leatherman. You will pretty much use this just for cutting up medical supplies. If you're on a day hike, you're not going to be doing a lot of cutting anything. You will hear stories about people fending off wild animals. That is so rare. Don't let that scare you. We do have mountain lions in our woods here, but if you see a mountain lion, you're going to want to get really big and loud and scare it away. You don't want to get into a knife fight with a mountain lion. That's a bad idea. So have it for safety, have it for your medical supplies, but you will likely not use it very often. You want to have a headlamp or a flashlight, some kind of light, and extra batteries for it. Sometimes you get lost. Sometimes there are circumstances that make your hike go on longer than you expected, and you just want to be prepared. You never want to be caught in the woods in the dark with no way to see your way home. So have a light and batteries. You might also want to get trekking poles. I will admit I do not always use these. I use them if I have a lot of weight in my backpack. They're great if you feel kind of shaky on the ground. They're going to help stabilize you. If you have knee problems, they take some of the weight off your legs and they put it onto your arms. So it's a good way to just kind of balance the weight out, especially if you're new to hiking or if you're on terrain you're kind of feeling shaky on. The way you size them is when you're holding the handle, you want your arm to be in a right angle, so a nice sharp turn there. And if you're going downhill, you want it to support your weight. So this is a bit too short. So if you're going downhill, you want a longer pole. So now as I'm coming down, I can put my weight on there and it's going to support me. If I'm going uphill, I want a shorter pole so that I can put my arm here. My arm's not way up in the air. And now I can help push myself up the hill because my pole's a bit shorter. Now you don't want to be the person on the trail who's constantly adjusting their pole height. You're going to slow the group down. It's going to be really tedious. So there are trekking poles that have grip that come down probably about to here. It's about double the size of this. And that's what I would recommend, because if you want to change your pole height, instead of actually shortening it, you can just bring your hand down. If you want to make your pole longer, you bring your hand up on the grip. So if you're going to get trekking poles, get the ones with the long grip. And the last thing you're going to have in your bag is a first aid kit. These are the items in a basic first aid kit. You can supplement this with any personal items, like any medications that you're taking. First, you'll want to pack bandages in all different sizes. These are for smaller cuts. You want to pack some moleskin, and this is the one item that I tend to use most for my kit. Moleskin is a small adhesive cushion that you put on your foot to prevent blisters. You want to have plenty of this available. Butterfly bandages, these are for larger cuts. You want to have dressings, gauze, and tape. These are for wounds that are bleeding profusely and they need pressure applied. You want to have scissors or a knife to cut these supplies if they're too large, or to remove articles of clothing if someone is badly injured. You want to pack tweezers to remove splinters or to pull off ticks. You want to have an ace bandage to support a joint, like if you twist your ankle. Antiseptic towelettes are to clean a wound. You want to have 3 types of medications: pain relief, like an ibuprofen, an antihistamine in case someone has an allergic reaction on the trail, and an antidiarrheal in case someone eats or drinks something that upsets their stomach. You want to have a hand sanitizer for general cleanliness, but also nowadays for coronavirus. And last, you want to have some aloe vera for sunburn relief. So let's talk about what you're going to wear on a hike. We're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. So first we're going to talk about your shoes. So when you're hiking, you want to have a really supportive shoe. You want to have a thick sole. You don't want to be feeling every single rock on the trail. So you can get sneakers as long as they've got that thick bottom layer and they've got support. You can get trail shoes, which are specifically made for hiking, or you can get a hiking boot. The main difference between the boot and the shoe is this section right here that supports your ankle. This is important if you're on rocky or uneven terrain where you might twist an ankle. This will help keep your ankle a little more supported so that doesn't happen. Most of the trails around here are generally pretty flat, pretty forgiving, so you can probably be fine with a trail shoe or a sneaker. When you buy your shoes, you want to make sure that you go a ½ inch bigger. So if you're a size 7, buy a 7.5. The reason for this is that as you're hiking, your foot is going to swell up a little, and you want to give it that extra room. There's also something called toe jam, which is where your toe bashes against the front of your shoe. It can make your toenails bruise, they can even fall off. It's very painful. I don't recommend it. So make sure that you have plenty of room so as you're going downhill, your toe isn't bashing against the front of your boot. Now, if you are wearing a hiking boot, a good way to prevent this when you're tying your shoe is to kind of kick your heel against the ground. Make sure your heel is as far back as possible, and then tie your boot, not super tight, don't cut off your circulation, but tight enough that you can't move forward. That's going to keep your toe from hitting the front of your shoe, keep you from getting toe jam. Next, we're going to talk about socks. So hiking socks come in tall for your boots and they come in short for your hiking shoes. And they're generally made out of moisture wicking material. This is really important. What that means is it's going to pull the sweat away from your foot so that you're not getting all soggy in there, and it's not going to cause blister spots. So the more wetness there is, the more likely you are to get blisters. A lot of hiking socks also have cushioning in blister spots. So on your heel or on your toes, there's just a little extra cushion to help make sure you don't get any blisters along the way. Now let's talk about pants or shorts. I tend to wear pants even on hot days because there is so much poison oak out in our trails. If you haven't had it, it's very itchy, it's very uncomfortable, it's not worth it. So I try to stick with long pants, and you want to make sure you have a synthetic material, pretty much no cotton. So no cotton pants, no jeans, and the reason for that is that cotton is going to hold in moisture. So if you get sweaty, if you're out in the rain, you're going to get wet and you're never going to dry off, where synthetic materials dry very quickly. I have seen people wear leggings, which are synthetic, which is great. They're stretchy, they're great for walking the trails, but if you're doing any kind of rougher terrain, if there's any rock scrambling, if you're going through brush, they're not as sturdy as hiking pants, so they can rip, they can fray. They also tend to not have a lot of pockets, and you want to have plenty of pockets for your chapstick, your tissues, whatever you're carrying around. If you can get a zippy pocket, that's great too. So I prefer pants over leggings, but for nice, short, easy hikes through the woods where you're not doing anything rough, a legging would work. Nothing fancy with the t-shirt. Same with the materials though. Try to avoid cotton and stick with synthetic. I like a sleeve just for sun protection. This shirt has lasted me 15 years. It just keeps going. A lot of the hiking gear that you'll buy, if you get a decent brand, it will just last forever. Next, we're going to look at a bandana. So this is really simple, a bandana or a buff, which is a bandana sewn into a circle. This has so many uses. There's no reason not to throw it in your backpack or just wear it on your hike. It keeps your hair out of your face. You can put it around your neck to keep from getting sunburned. I've had a friend fall and be gushing blood, and I've wrapped him up with a bandana. I've seen people who have forgotten their toilet paper use a bandana for that. It's just good for everything, and it's worth keeping around. You also want to have either a baseball cap or a full-brimmed sun hat just to keep the sun off your face. We are in sunny California, so you will very easily get sunburned. So remember your hat, and then of course your sunglasses, as you can see. It's always a good idea to keep a jacket in your backpack. For a normal summer hike, a simple windbreaker or a rain jacket, they fold up into nothing, they weigh hardly anything. This will just keep you safe if the weather turns. In colder months, it's a good idea to get a light puffy jacket. Sometimes we have frost, sometimes it even snows here, and if the weather turns, you don't want to be stuck freezing out in the middle of the woods. So always pack a puffy just in case. Now, a lot of this name brand hiking gear can cost a lot of money. It can get very expensive. So what I recommend is buying secondhand, buying used. And a lot of my gear nowadays I get off eBay or just from a secondhand, a thrift shop. And they last so long. Like this is a 15-year-old shirt. They just last a really long time. The quality is so good that even if you get it used, you still got plenty of years, plenty of life left in it. I've also found that, especially for teenagers, a woman's small and medium translates into children's sizes as an XL or an XXL. And it's about $30 to $40 cheaper per item if you get the children's size. You do end up with a lot of pink and purple, but I think it's well worth it. The quality is the same, the size is the same, so why not save some money? All right, that is everything that you would want to wear. My biggest takeaway from all my years of hiking is that as long as you plan ahead, you're going to be able to handle whatever the trail throws at you. Make sure you're wearing the proper clothes, that you have the proper gear and medical supplies. Make sure that you plan a route and stick to it. Make sure you have a buddy who also plans ahead, someone that you can rely on, and make sure someone back home knows exactly where you're going to be hiking, just in case they need to come find you. If you take that little extra time to plan ahead, you're going to be able to handle anything. If you have any questions, you can contact myself or your local Girl Scout leader. And as always, stay safe, leave no trace, and have fun on your hike.